Hello crafty friends, welcome back to my channel. This is Luise Heinzel and I'm here with a new little tutorial for you. So a few days ago I posted a new article on my German blog on my website, and I wrote something about my very first junk journal. That was a traveler journal that tells the story about my trip to Rome in 2017, I think. And there were some ephemeras where I had something like a stamping that I made with such a cup of coffee. And there were many people who asked me, okay, how did you do that? Because that's a really cool idea. So in this tutorial, I would like to show you the exact way how I did that. And I also want to talk a little bit about what I think in my position now, what I did wrong and what I can do better when I will do that a second time on another travel, for example. So this tutorial is all about how to make such memory of a special place where you had a coffee, and how to do that, and especially why I did that. So the reason why I did that is, so I think there are different reasons. The one thing is that I wanted to have a really special memory about the place where I had my coffee. And I wanted not only to write in my journal, here on Piazza Navona, I had a coffee that was very great. So I wanted to have something from this place, exactly from this place, and that I can put into my journal and that I can take with me home. So I came to the idea that I can take the cup of coffee after drinking it and turn it the other side, upside down, and make a little mark of the coffee on my paper. When I prepared the journal for this trip, that was the very first journal I ever made, and I had no plan. I didn't know what I was doing. So I thought I have to prepare everything where I can journal on during this trip before I go to the trip. I watched many YouTube videos and tutorials on how to make a junk journal. And so I prepared some little cards, for example, like this. So I took paper that I had at home. I took some already coffee dyed papers, some tea dyed papers, some little cards that I had. And I have to say, I was in Rome before this first trip, 2017, and I had some material about the city. So I had some cards and some postcards and that stuff. And I took those for the journal, for the trip 2017. When I look at this whole stuff now, I would prefer to collect the things where I do my stamping and or my little marks here with the coffee during the trip. So that would be much more interesting. And when I went to Rome in 2018, I did that. I collected everything from the trip, beginning from some papers that were laying under my what's that called, plate where the food is on. There are sometimes this sheets of paper under the plate in the restaurants that you can take with you and where you can do that on. And you will find some business cards from restaurants or something like that. Perhaps you will find some information material in your hotel or something like that that you can use for your journal. And I think that's the better way, because some people ask, how do you use your junk journal when it's done? So what can you do when you don't want to only look at it? What are you journaling in? So about what are you journaling in your junk journal? And that's a thing, especially for a travel journal, that's really, really special for me, and special for me in the context of this whole junk journaling stuff. So when you collect things during the trip, then you have the original pieces that you had during the trip. And I talked a lot about that stuff with some junk journaling friends of mine, and we have all the same opinion. When we remember this trip and when we remember the holiday that we had and we look at our junk journal, we have a really big memory of this, and it's much more intensive, this memory, than when you have no name papers. So when you have paper in your journal that has no meaning for you or for this trip. And when I talk with my hubby and I say, do you remember when we were at this or that place where we did this and that? He says, okay, I have to look through my photos to remember that. I'm not sure if I know what you are talking about. But for me, this memory is so clear in this second when I remember it because of this journaling. That's incredible. And I would like to encourage you to do the same and to collect the papers for a traveler journal during the trip. So what can that be? The things that I already told you, but perhaps you can also find papers from a planner or something like that, or you can also go to a shop in the city where you have your holiday and buy some special pattern paper from a special small shop, for example. So I did that in Rome as well. So this is not from Rome, this is from a Happy Mail, but I also went to a special papery shop in Rome and I bought some special papers there and used them for my junk journal in the end. And of course, this coffee technique I will show you. You can make it on this paper as well. And you can use the back side from this because that's white and the this mark will show out really cool. And then you have a nice patterned background for this one. What you also can do, perhaps you read a book during your trip in your free time, or to relax or for whatever, and perhaps you don't need the book in the end. So you can take the book apart, if it's a hardcover, use it for a new junk journal, or you can also, of course, use the cover for the traveler's journal. But on the front, you will always have this end papers here. So this is from a book that I don't need anymore. And you have this end papers. Often they have a really cool pattern where you can use the back side for your coffee stamp. And they have this extra page here before the normal story of the book begins. So even if you need the book after your trip, you can use those both papers, because when you tear those out, the book will still be intact and you can use it. So that would be no problem. What you also can do, perhaps you make some art during your trip. So for example, this here is a junk envelope I collaged, and that's something where I experimented and tried something else out. So it's not very beautiful, but you can also use such things. Of course, it belongs to the amount of supplies that you can take with you during this trip. When you can take watercolors with you and you have enough space and the possibility to do that, then you can, of course, make some watercolor art and use those pieces for your coffee memory. That's also possible. And I think there are many, many different possibilities to do that. The only thing that you should have in mind is that you should choose a paper that can soak the coffee. So the thicker, the thicker the paper is, so for example, such a thicker watercolor or copy paper will be much better for this, because you don't have to wait so long until the coffee is dry here. Because when you are on the trip and you want to have a quick coffee somewhere, then of course you perhaps don't have the time to wait until this coffee is completely dry. And when you have this problem, take a piece of paper that's a little bit thicker and not too glossy. So I have an example here. This is a jelly print. And of course, jelly prints are made with acrylic paint. And when acrylic paint dries, it gets a little glossy and something like a slippery surface. And when you put the coffee on top of this, that would be perhaps not so good, because you have to wait very long until this coffee is dry. But when you have such a thing, or you want to use it, of course, you can use the backside, because often the backside is white. And then you have your coffee memory here, and the backside you can use for journaling or for whatever. So let me show you what I did. So let's imagine I am here in an Italian coffee bar. I know it's really, really hard to imagine because, yeah, it's such a big difference between Austria and Italy. But let's try that because I can't travel to Italy to make this video, of course. I took my paper that I brought to the trip or collected during the trip. And I decided, I thought a little bit about that, what this later will be in my journal. So if it will become a tag and I have to cut here and here, or if I would like to make pocket or a belly band or something like that out of it. And yeah, belonging to this, I decided where I put my my stamp here. And yeah, when the coffee comes, of course, you have to drink it first because this would be too much. And when you use everything from the cup, you haven't something what you can drink, of course. So I would like to show you two different ways. So because of that, I have 2 cups of coffee here on my table because I found out different things. So the first time I drink the coffee completely. So let me just do that. As you can see here, it's a little bit cold already because I talked too long. Sorry. As you can see, here is only a little bit of this coffee left in the cup. And then I turned it and I did it very fast. So 1, 2, 3, like this. Why? Because the Italian coffee is something like creamy. It's not such brown water like we have in Austria. So I have a really good coffee machine, I have to say. But as you can see, this coffee is really, really watery. It's not so thick like you will have it in Italy or somewhere else where they make really, really good coffee with this cream, cream on top. Because of that this coffee can come out of this cup, I turned it over really fast and make this little noise that it's really, really fast, that the coffee can fall out of the cup and come to my paper. And while I am waiting that this magic here can happen, I took a pen and thought about what I would like to journal here on my little paper here. And another thing about this is when you take the time, so especially when you have this little espresso things, when you take the time to do this, you have a much more intensive memory of this situation, of this moment. You have to wait until this is done. You have the chance to write something here. You have the chance to look around when you are on a special place with special buildings around you or something like that. You won't have the chance when you go to the coffee bar, drink your coffee and run out. So yeah, I know that perhaps there are some Italian people that are watching this video. I know that the Italian people, especially in the morning, run into this coffee bar and drink their coffee very fast. Perhaps they eat a little bit something like a croissant or something like that, and then they run out of this place. And I always had really much fun on the one side, but some strange thoughts on the other side. Of course, all those people, when I am in holiday, they have to work. So that's, of course, that's normal. But let me just check if I can. Yeah, okay. Don't talk too long, and this is a totally mess. I know the people have stress. They have to go to work, and I am there in holiday. So they ran into this bar and they ran out of the bar in the same time. But I think they can't enjoy their coffee like I could it here. So perhaps it's also a little tip for you at home. When you have a good coffee and you want to enjoy it, why not making this? So you can also do this at home and write your thoughts here. So yeah, let's write the date. So I did that, what's today, the 4th of May, I think. I wrote the date, and yeah, then I decided if I want to make some notes about this special place where I was, or I wrote the yeah, something like Piazza Navona or something like that, and I wrote the bar of the name of the coffee bar where I was. So let me just write some name. So one really good coffee bar is Santa Lucia. And then you can, of course, decide what you write here on the bottom, or if you want to cut that here. So don't care about if here is too much space where you don't have something to journal on. Of course, you can cut that later when you put it into your journal, and you can distress the edges and you have a perfect journaling card or something like that. Yeah, as you can see here, can you see that? Sorry, my light is a little bit strange here. Here you can see the coffee soaked into the paper, really irregular. And when we lift that up, we have something like this. So as you can see, this is only the really rest that was left over in my cup of coffee. So you can see that the result is really dark, really intensive, and already nearly dry, because it's only the rest of this coffee. When you do that with Italian coffee, you will have something of this cream here, and that will dry really fast, so that you can go on in a short time when you don't have the time to wait. The back side, as you can see here, has some marks as well. So you have to have this in mind, that that can happen when you have some papers where you don't know how they react, that it can be that it comes through the back side. But I think junk journal, you know, that's no problem. In this case, you will get a really clear round circle and yeah, this mark of the coffee cup. You can also, and that's the second version I would like to show you, you can also leave a little bit more in the cup, leave a little bit more of coffee in the cup when you drink it. So for example, oh, let me just, sorry, that's so cold and terrible. For example, like this. That's a little bit more. And as you can see, I have this problem here. And when I know that this paper reacts in this way, that it soaks so extremely, then I, of course, can take another paper and another quality of paper when I don't want that. So let me just take, for example, this pattern paper here. Because I want to show you that with this pattern paper, because often they have the same quality of paper, and then they have the same quality of paper on the back side. So of course, so it's a little bit something like a cardstock, and it's a little bit thicker. And here it's not coffee dyed. This was coffee or tea dyed. I don't know, because there was a Happy Mail as well. I can't see that if it's coffee or tea, but the paper has already something in it, and then that can be the reason that we have this thing here on the top. But the main reason to left a little bit more of this coffee here in the cup is when you do that, but when you do that now in the same way I did it before, please take care of your neighbors on the other places around you, that you don't spritz the coffee to them, because sometimes when you do it, it can happen, as you can see, that it comes out a little bit here, and that you spritz to your paper here in a really strange way. And when you have perhaps some stranger next to you and you do that, perhaps you get in trouble because he has coffee on his clothes. And of course, we don't want that. Now you can see the coffee comes here and you have to react a little bit faster than with the first piece. Now you can, let me just bring this here out of the way, sorry, I don't want to spritz onto my other papers. Now you can take the coffee, and I recommend to take it here on this little thing and not like this. And then you can, hopefully that will work, you can take the paper here and bring the cup like this. Now you can see you have the coffee here all over the place. And you have this little spritzes here that when they are dry are really cool. As you can see, Austrian coffee. It's really much here. So as you can see, it is a really, really big amount of coffee here on my paper. If that happens to you and you think, oh my gosh, I can throw it away, don't do that. But take a little napkin or something like that you get in the restaurant as well. So, sorry, I have to pick up one. Because you can see that the coffee already, of course, reacted with the paper. If you ever made coffee dyeing or something like that, you know that this is a really fast process and you will get a really, brownish thing on your paper very fast. And when you don't want to have this, because you would have to wait the half day until this is dry, you can take the napkin and carefully take the coffee away here a little bit, so that you have not so much coffee left on your piece there, and then you can let that dry. So I think the imagination of this cup of coffee is here as well. And what I like about this is that you can use this as a really focal point in the end. So when this is dry and you journal in this circle, then that is really standing out in your journal in the end. And that's the cool thing. So I think that's a really cool journaling spot or something like that. I don't know exactly how this is called. And you will see that the results and the things that you can do with the coffee will be really, really different. So you will get something like this sometimes. You will get something like we did before sometimes. And sometimes you will get totally different things. I will blend in some photos of my own coffee stamps that I made during the trips to Rome, so that you can see how different that looks and how it looks in my journal at the end. So that you can imagine what to do with this, because I won't put this into a journal at this moment. Another thing that you of course can do to bring these things out a little bit more, for example, this one here, when you say, okay, this shall be a little extra journaling booklet or something like that, you could put some extra pages in here and make a little booklet out of it. And of course you can do everything with this idea what you would normally do with your other journal ephemera and embellishments. So for example, you could distress the edges here, of course, and I think when you use brown distressing ink, that is a little bit darker than the coffee stamp. So for example, this one here is Stazon Ganache, the color. And that's a little bit darker than the coffee stamp itself. So I think, let me just do that here, that looks really cool when it has a little bit darker frame, because this coffee stamp comes out a little bit more and it stands out a little bit more. So like a, really eye-catching thing. And of course you can decide how extreme you would like to do that. I like it when it's a little bit darker. And of course it belongs a little bit to the city and the whole situation where you are, that can fit to your journal. And of course it belongs a little bit to the colors that you have in your journal later. But when you do those neutral things, so those coffee stamps and this brown things, that would fit to nearly every color that you have. So for example, when you have this and you have a really colorful thing from your trip, you can put that together and it will look really nice. When you'll use a color for this, for example, pink or something like that, and you would like to take this paper in the end, then you can think, okay, I have a little problem with my color combination. When you ask someone who likes fitting colors in a journal, of course you can do it all mixed up, but when you want that it fits together, then I think a neutral thing here around with the distressing is the best. Of course, when you have collected some things during the trip and you have, for example, something like this, you can also take the date from such a planner, from such a calendar, tear it out here, then you have, let me just do that. So of course that's not the right date of today, but perhaps you have something that your hotel offers, or you find something in a paper container on the street or something like that, and by accident perhaps you have the right date, then of course you can also make it like this and glue this with a glue stick or something like that and write the name of the coffee bar here. So that will be, of course, a really cool addition to this idea. And perhaps when you would like to do it like this, you have some other materials around you. Perhaps there's a newspaper, perhaps there's a flyer for a music event in the evening or something like that. Perhaps you are sitting there and you are reading your book or something like that. Then of course you can make this memory a little bit more special by collaging the thing where you write the date, for example. So let me just try that. You can take the little thing that you have, for example, from, what I said, what is around you, or you can also take something of the napkin that you had on your table and put it here, or when you have the patience, of course you can use the napkin with that you took the coffee from your paper. So when this is dry, of course on the next day, or in the memory of the next in the time when you do this the next time, sorry, I can't speak today, then you can use this here for such a collage as well. Now I can't use it because it's already wet, but on the next day of your trip this will be dry, and then you can use it for such a collage, for example. And you can use nearly everything that you can find around you, and that will make the whole stuff, of course, really special for you. And you can remember, okay, this here, that was from the book I read there in this moment. You can also write the title of the book and such things. So now I have to add this name of the coffee bar again, because it disappeared here. So for example, like that. And another thing is what you also can do. So let me just take the other thing here. So as you can see, so that this video here is real time. So when I did this, it was wet, and now I can feel it's nearly dry. It's not completely dry, but it's dry enough to take this in your rucksack or wherever in your bag and take it with you until it's completely dry. A little trick what you can also do is put a napkin from the coffee bar here. And if you have to fold it like this, then the rest of the coffee will not come to your other page. So you can travel around with that and you can take it with you without any problems. But another thing that you can do with the date, I want to show you here. So when you have something where the date is shown, so for example this one here, so sorry I don't have anything else here at the moment because I'm not in my crafty caravan. As you know, I don't want to tell this story again, but I don't have access to my craft supplies at the moment. So this is something like an example what I found, but of course you can use anything that you can find around you. When you have a junk envelope or something like that, where you have this writing here, or you have some interesting post stamps or something like that, you can use that as well when you find this on your trip, or yeah, wherever. Then when you would like to add some special things here, for example the date, you can take a clear tape. I know that many of you think, okay, I can't take this here with me on my trip because I have to take my food, my water, and my city map and that stuff. I can't take a clear tape. But the most of the restaurants, the most of the coffee bars, the most of those places where you will do this have this in their stash. And you can ask, perhaps, do you have a clear tape for me? Or you can also take this apart and don't carry this thing with you, so not the whole thing, but only this roll of the tape. I prefer this matte clear tape. Can you see that? That's not such glossy. And when I use that, it's not such a plastic feeling in my journal in the end. But you can also do that with a glossy clear tape. That is also possible, of course. Then I choose the date or whatever I would like to have in my journal or on my journaling card or wherever, and I put this here. I take this tape here with two of my fingers here so that it's not totally glued to the paper. I go over it with my fingernail a little bit, and then I carefully I hate this. Yeah, and normally the thing here oh mein Gott. Ist das jetzt wirklich gerade passiert? Das ist mir noch nie passiert. Normally, the thing from here would stay on the tape. So, I'm so sorry. Normally, I never had that before. I did this technique so often, and normally, a piece of this here would stay here. So, let me just try that on another thing. So, sorry. I don't know. Normally, it would work. So, let me just try it here with this little writing. I have the feeling that the tape is not sticky enough and the paper from the calendar is too glossy. So sorry. Let's try it here. Dear universe, please let it work. Yes. So that was the thing that I originally wanted to show you. So sorry for this mistake. So as you can see, you have this really awesome, if I get my camera in focus, you can see that, this really awesome thing here from the paper. So sometimes you have, do I have an example? Sometimes you have some things that you can't take with you. Perhaps you have, do you know those catalogs of some brands or something like that? That is a really big thing, a really big, yeah, something like a book where they make some advertisements or something like that, and you get those stuff, this stuff for free. But you can't use the whole thing, and perhaps you don't want to use the whole thing because only some things have a special meaning for you during this trip. For example, only a special writing or a special date or a special name or something like that has a meaning for your journal. So you can transfer this thing here with this method, and then you can put it here. As you can see, it's a good idea to leave a sticky thing here on one end and the other. I missed that here because of my fear that this would not work. Sorry. But you can take a little bit of glue, of course, and then you can glue that where you want it to your journal. And the good thing about this is, because you think, okay, I can take the part of this catalog out and glue the scrap of this catalog here. But when you feel over this, it's much flatter than when you use the whole page. And sometimes you have very thick material. For example, if you have a really hard material like this, really thick, for example, from a flyer or something like that, and you don't want to have this thick things in your journal, then you can, of course, do it like this and use this thinner stuff for your journal. And this thinner stuff would not be so, so visible and so touchable and that stuff. And it's really a flat and nice surface that you get there. Of course, this is not done. So, of course, this is only a preparation, some work that you do before you do your journaling itself, before you do your decoration for your journal, before you put everything together. I can't recommend to do that in a finished journal. Because of this, I show you that in this case, and everything looks not very beautiful, but I want to show you the technique and the things that are that you have to have in mind when you want to do that, and things that can go wrong. And because of the thing that you can't control, what happens with the coffee and that stuff, it's better to do it on this loose paper and put that into your journal than preparing the whole journal and taking the whole journal with you and putting this into your journal. When this comes to the other side here, it can happen that some writing here in your original journal can be destroyed or something like that. So you have to think about that. You have to you have this liquid here. So it's something like water when you use this coffee, and it will soak into your page. And you have to think about what's on the back side when I want to do that, that I don't destroy the other things that are in my journal. Because of this, that of course looks not such beautiful as it could look in the end. But of course you can use some botanicals or some flowers, that stuff that you can also find on your trip in a book or something like that, or also on a flyer. Or you can of course use real plants, press and dry them, and then you can put them here. So I think you can imagine how that will look when you, for example, fuzzy cut that and glue it here, or you have a real plant and you have pressed and dried it and you will put it here. That will look really, really beautiful. You can also, of course, use little scraps from fabric or something like that and make some little cluster, or whatever you would like to do. So sometimes you will find some scraps from some fabric napkins or something like that during a trip. You can also use that. Or if you want to buy some special, for example, some special things that are typical for the country where you are traveling to, then you can buy something. Or sometimes you will even find such things on the street. So there's not, I didn't find that on the street, but that was a happy mail. But in my original journal, I have many things, also fabric and that stuff, and those fibers here that I found somewhere. And of course, it's a little bit something weird when you go over the street and you sit somewhere and you drink a coffee or something like that, and on the floor there is laying such thing. It's a little bit weird to take that. I know that. And I know that there are people who can't do that, who have something like a fear about that. But when you take that carefully and you take it with you home and you wash it, it's no problem. But for me, these are the special things. So, for example, I found a little bracelet on the street. Those kinds of bracelets, I have to search if I have a photo. If yes, you will see it now here in the frame. I found a bracelet of those, really poor people who have to sell them. It's something like such a friendship bracelet or so. And always when I see these bracelets and this rainbow colors on these bracelets, I think you know what I mean. I think it's those bracelets are in every bigger city, because those people who have to sell them are in nearly every bigger city. And I always have such a crazy feeling when I see those people and when I see those bracelets. It's always a moment for me where I can sit and think about my situation. I can think about my life. It may sound a little bit weird, but perhaps you can understand that. It's something where the time is standing still for a moment. Because I know someone has tried to sell that. Someone has tried to sell that with some tricks, for example. Often they gift those bracelets to the people and they expect that they buy something else from their little shop or something like that. So the things that they carry with them. And often those special bracelets come to the floor and they are laying there, and you know that this seller hadn't any success with his thing, so with his try to sell something. And the result is that he perhaps will not have enough money to buy something to eat for the day or something like that, or for his family or so. And that's always a really special moment where I can think about the really important things in life, and where I can think about how I can change my handling, how I can change my behavior and my reaction to those people when I see them. And especially in bigger cities, that's, I think, a really big point. Okay, so in the end of this video, hopefully when I can find some, you will see some pictures of some different kinds of those coffee memory stamps, marks, or however you will call that. And hopefully this is an idea that you would like to try out. Hopefully I will see some of your results in the future. And if you would like, please tag me in some way when you show some of your results. So when you do that on Facebook, then write my name until this name becomes a little bit bigger and this blue thing comes there, so that I get a notification that you tagged me there, so that I'm able to find your post. And of course I would like to see that and comment that and share that on my Facebook page if you would like that. When you do that on Instagram, then please write @Luise Heinzl, so that I can see that you tried out this idea, because I have so many followers and friends and that stuff that I sometimes can't see all the stuff that you make, for example, with my tutorials or with an inspiration of my videos or something like that. And of course, I would love to see that. And I would, of course, share that somewhere, and I would like to give you some respect, or how is that called, that you did that. And of course I'm happy when I see some things that come out of my video tutorials and that stuff. So yeah, let's try that. Please do it and tell me your experience. Leave me a comment if you have any questions. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and hit this little notification bell. Then you will get informed when I upload a video. And oh, by the way, I have a little giveaway on my Instagram account at the moment. If you want to check that out, the informations are down below in the description box as well. Just click the Instagram link and you will find everything about that. So I will give away one of my printables from my Etsy shop. So you can choose which one you would like if you win that. All the informations for the entry are in my Instagram, in my newest post there. So perhaps you would like to join. And yeah, what can I say? Have a great time and stay crafty, stay healthy, and see you the next time. Bye bye.